And just like that, we're live again. Hey folks, welcome. Robert Imbriale here. Welcome to another edition of Coach's Corner. I know I'm doing it not in the studio today, out and about instead. And it's really about, for me, it's really about consistency. It's a good thing to be consistent. When you promise to do something, to keep the flow going, keep going on it. So today we're doing this from the farm. Today we're not at the studio. We're about an hour away from the studio. Outside, beautiful day. It's been really fun to be away from a lot of the feeds and a lot of the news. Gotta take a little break from it because it's a little bit crazy out there, as you guys already know. And I wanted to share with you today some ideas about what's coming, and more importantly, what we need to do in terms of, managing ourselves and the people around us as things continue to unfold. There's a lot of instability in society right now. And it's important, I think, not only to, react to it the correct way or react in an empowering way, but also to help other people to do that as well, because you're going to get those questions, right? People are going to come to us and ask us, okay, what do I do? This is going crazy. That's going crazy. I don't understand this thing. I don't understand that, what's happening over here, what's happening over there. And it really just, it takes people out of their comfort zone a lot. Change is not comfortable for people as they get into chaos and they get into all kinds of fear, right? So we want to go in a different direction with that. And we want to look at, how do we remain stable when everything around us isn't stable, right? And it sounds like, what's an impossible dream? But if you think about a boat, cruise ship, for instance, they go through some pretty rough waters and they don't really rock all that much because they have stabilizers, right? So they're able to keep, stable even in the roughest of waters sometimes. I mean, not totally stable. It's not like being on solid ground for sure, but they don't rock as much as they would if they didn't have those systems. So the question is for you and I, how do we stay stable when there's so much instability in, our environment? People around us, things we're used to, places we used to go. A lot of places aren't there anymore, right? We've got a lot of things that are changing, and we're seeing people with a lot of health issues too. And the question then becomes, like, what do you do with those people who are having health issues that were perfectly healthy and all of a sudden, now they're not? Or, people who are in the hospital, you can't see them, all those kind of things. So how do you stay stable? How you react. Let me tell you, a very long time ago, I started to learn this lesson of, being in control of your reaction to things. Now, a lot of people say, well, things just happen and, I just react the way I react. That's really not true, though. You do have the opportunity to choose that reaction, right? You have that moment where you can pick up on, that reaction. You can decide how you're going to react to something. And people say, no, you can't do that. I say, yeah, you can. You actually can do that. You are able to figure out, what your reaction's going to be. And you might think, no, the reaction's, it's not a given. It's something that just happens automatically. And really it doesn't. You get to choose. And there's a gap between what happens and how you react. Like, for instance, your brain is going to figure it out real quickly. It's going to figure out, what to do really quickly. So the brain asks 3 questions. Question number 1 is, what is it? I'm going to write that down. What is it? Second question it asks is, what does it mean? And the third question it asks is, what do I do? And that's where you have the power. The power is in that what do you do part, right? So you might say to your brain, okay, let's give a really simple example. A snake. So you see a snake, your brain says, what is it? And I say, well, right away, it's categorized in my brain as a snake. What does it mean? Well, what does it mean is, if it bites you, it could probably kill you. So then the brain says, okay, what do I do? And it might say, run. Very simple way of looking at it. But that's important to know because there's a gap in there where you get to make that decision. The what do I do part is where you have your power. So when you look at something and you say, what is it? And then, what does it mean? And you have to give it a good meaning because, nothing really has meaning until we give it meaning. The first time you saw a snake, you knew nothing about snakes. Maybe you didn't know what the meaning was. So you learned over time that what is the meaning of this? And then you can figure it out. And then the question then becomes, well, what do you do? Well, you could run, right, if it's a snake, or you could stop and pause and be curious about it and see what kind of snake it is. You might examine it a little bit further. You might find out that, this particular snake, not that scary, right? Or you might think, well, that snake is really bad and I got to run. I got to get away from it. Or you might wait for it to do something first, before you decide what action to take. You might, need a little bit more information. So a lot of people tend to react off the cuff, I call it, right? They'll just react without thinking. And I think that's I got into that problems, with that. It used to be my habit. It used to be a way I used to operate many, many years ago. Until I learned this, and I said, wow, there's a little gap. I can actually choose my reaction. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. If I could choose my reaction, I don't have to be in fear all the time. I don't have to be, worried about it. It's like when something comes up, I can take that pause. I can take that moment and say, okay, what am I going to make this mean? What meaning will I attach to this so that, I make the right decision? So as we're going forward, you're saying, well, all this stuff is crazy. Businesses are closing. We're seeing everything going on in our economy and our politics and our healthcare systems and all the rest of this stuff. Take a deep breath and then think about what does it mean? And what can you do that might be empowering rather than running from it? A lot of us, our first reaction is, we're going to run from this, we're going to run. Is that really the best approach? Is running the best thing to do? Or would you be better off, finding a more empowering thing to do? Maybe there's something that you could do to help other people or help the situation or help inform more people. You could take a lot of the quote unquote, the bad stuff and turn it into something really good. So you just got to be able to be open to that and take that moment, take that breath, take a deep breath, look at whatever it is that's going on, and then make a decision about how you're going to respond. So, the hardest one probably is, you have a loved one that passes away and you say, well, what does it mean? Well, it's going to be sad. Yeah, emotionally it probably is going to be sad. But you could look at the bright side of that. You could flip it over and you could say, okay, so what did I learn here? Is there anything to learn from their life, from any lessons they've taught you? Are there any good memories? And you could start looking at it from that perspective and you could say, this is interesting. I can learn this, I can learn that. And it's not that you're not going to feel the emotion, but you're not going to future pace it in such a way where it's all negative. That really collapses us, right? So we might see something happen. And the news does this really great, by the way. They future pace everything. So everything they're doing is they're looking at, what does it mean in the future? Well, what are they, fortune tellers? No, they're journalists. They don't know what it's going to happen in the future. Everything is a guess. And they always tend to guess to the negative, right? So we see that a lot. We say, okay, they're saying that this, that, and the other thing is going to happen, and it's always negative. Can't they just say, this happened, and what it could mean is, and tell us something positive? It never happens. So what happens, we learn, because we're a product of our environment so much, and we learn that's the same thing. Whatever they say is what we end up doing. We do the same thing. We look at the negative. And I see so many people get caught in that, and they just get caught up and jammed up in this idea of, whatever happens, there's negative outcomes. Well, there could be positive outcomes too, but you got to look for them, right? They're not going to be given to you all the time. So it's taken me a while. And over the years, I was always, because I, like so many, watched the media growing up and learned that everything that happens has a downside, a really bad downside. I never learned to look at the good side. And it was important to do that. And more important probably now than ever to see what's going on here and say, there's going to be some really tough stuff coming up. There's going to be things that are going to be coming out that people are going to be shocked about. And you might say, well, that was terrible. Well, maybe it came out because we were meant to know about it so that we wouldn't let it happen again. And maybe now that it's out, we can stop it. Where before, when it was hidden, it was beneath the surface, so to speak, we're not going to do much about it. So I want to give you the power back that is often taken from us as far as in our society, in our media, and so on and so forth, that doesn't allow us to be brave, doesn't allow us doesn't allow us to be positive, and in fact we're taught literally by what we see in our media all day long, that everything that happens is going to be negative. There's going to be a bad consequence to it, when it doesn't necessarily need to be that. Sorry, a little fly there. Outside you get that kind of thing. So you can re-empower yourself, and I really encourage you to do that, is find things that are brighter than what would normally be the case if you're looking at, just looking at whatever situation you're looking at and saying, well, it's just negative, it's negative, it's negative. There's a lot of negativity out there. We don't need more of it. We need more positivity. We need more people trying to say, okay, what's going on in Canada right now? You could look at it and say, man, this is really bad. Or you could say, this is really good, because things are going to change. Things are not going to stay the same. The status quo is going to go away by what's happening there. And there's a lot to learn from it. And we could be the ones who are on the bright side of this and sharing the right messages. And it's happening not just out in the media, but also happening on everyday lives. Like, somebody came to me and said, well, I just got fired. And I said, oh, that's sad, too bad to hear. What are you going to do with the lessons you've learned? And he looked at me, he's like, what? I just got fired. You understand? Life is over. I'm like, life's not over. It's just this chapter ended. What are you going to do next? How are you going to spend your time? What are you going to do with that experience you gained? What are you going to do with those years that you put in and the growth that you've had, personal, otherwise, financial, personal, whatever? You can turn that into something else. I mean, I've turned every career I've had, and I've had many careers over the course of my adult life. Every single one of them I've used in some way when I took my next role. So, here I am, my first career commercial photographer, right? And here I am with the fancy cameras and everything else and all the rest of this stuff. Still to this day, those skills didn't go away. Okay, I'm not photographing for other people anymore. I'm not doing catalogs. I'm not photographing for Macy's or Seagram's or, Subway sandwiches, that kind of thing, the stuff that I used to do way back when. But I still use those skills, right? The skills I learned back then with working with people in front of a camera, I still use, because, I can get people in front of a camera not to be afraid, not to be shy. How do I do that? Well, I've been there. I've been on both sides of the camera. I've been behind it a lot, and I've been in front of it a lot. I know what it's like on either side of it, so I can help you. And you got to really look at it from that perspective. It's like, yeah, there's some bad stuff, for sure, if you lose your job. I get it. But there's also some very good things, because now it gives you, a blank slate, if you will, to find something better, find something new. And a lot of the stuff that's happened over the past 2 years with the shutdowns, the lockdowns, and people losing their jobs and all the rest of it, there's a lot of people coming out of this with a renewed sense of purpose, right? They've changed careers. They've decided they're not going to work for anybody else. They're going to work for themselves. They're going to find a new way. Yeah, a lot of people have been crushed by it. I get it. But a lot of people have taken that and said, okay, this has happened. Nothing they can do about it. I'm just not going to let it happen again. Or, I'm going to learn to use what I've learned. Everything that I've done is going to help me be stronger going forward. And I think if you look at it from that perspective and you say, okay, how can I use this? You're much better off. Now, your family members, who may or may not be, that positive, are going to look to you. Positive energy is very attractive, by the way. So the more positive you are, the more you can find, the bright side of things to look at, the more people are going to be attracted to your live streams, your videos, just you as a family member. You're going to be more attractive to other family members and friends and that kind of thing. So I'm encouraging you here. If you're getting the message is there's a lot going on. I get it. There's a ton going on. Trust me, I'm on, I've got hundreds of feeds now. I've got news coming at me from every angle, right? I know what's going on. I'm very aware of what's going on. And I'm also aware that it can crush you if you don't respond to it properly. Remember, you have the choice of how you respond. It isn't what happens, it's what you do with what happens that matters. So all of this stuff is going on, and my choice in responding is always, and I guess it's my entrepreneurial training too, is to look for the bright spots. What are the bright spots? Well, this happened, this happened, this happened. Okay, where are the opportunities in this? What's going to change now that's going to give me a better opportunity, a better chance to use it in a different way, or maybe do something different, use things in a new way that will bring me more success than I even had before, right? So a lot of people wonder about that, and they say, I'm just going to focus on the bad stuff. I'm going to be depressed. Don't be. Yeah, it's hard right now. I get it. But there's a lot of good stuff too. And I encourage you to be looking for that good stuff. Find it in your own life. Find it around you. And you're going to be a lot happier, number one. Your health is going to be better, number two. Number three, you're going to be more attractive. So you're going to have more people around you. More people will look up to you and turn to you, in these difficult times. And, you'll do wonders for yourself. And you are going to be, and I've really been saying this for a long time now, we're going to have a whole new crop of leaders going forward. Who are those leaders going to be? The ones who can find their way fast through all the nonsense. If you're one of those people like me, you're finding your way through it, you're figuring it all out, people are going to be coming to us and say, how did you know, right? And they're going to want to know what we know, and they want to do what we do. I tell you, it's going to make a big difference. So if you want to be the new generation of leaders, you want to be part of that, you got to step up now. Now is the time to do that. And if you can do it, I promise you, you're going to love the results. You're going to love what's going to happen in your life, how you're going to impact other people, because there's no greater gift in life than being able to impact somebody else's life, right? You know how that feels as a coach, or even if you're not a coach, if you just help out a family member, help out someone on the street, you know how good that feels. Well, here's your opportunity. Here's a fantastic opportunity. Everyone's going to need some help at some point. So it's time for us to step up, stop being defeated by the nonsense, find the positives, and step out and make a difference. If we can do that, I think everything's going to be fine, my friends. Everything will be fine. Got it? All right. Thanks so much for watching today. I think that's it for today, and I will look forward to doing this again next week, probably back in the studio next week. This was kind of fun doing something impromptu out in the open, but I think I really do enjoy being in the studio. Thanks so much for watching. We'll talk soon.